All right, welcome to Earth Science. Happy Monday. Welcome to online school. First day. First thing we're going to look at, I had you guys look at reference tables and get those out, is this guy right here. The top left of page 6, the rock cycle. So what I want to do real quick is just shoot through kind of what this thing is about. Tell you what you got to do. So I've got a drawing here, one of my wonderful drawings. I want to go through the 3 basic rock types that perhaps you've heard of. Starting, and I'll upload this thing onto the, the internet's there. So starting down here with magma, melted rock, hot rock. What that's going to do is occasionally work its way towards Earth's surface, sometimes stopping, not making it all the way up to Earth's surface, sometimes going right at the top. And volcanoes. This difference is going to be important when we talk about this kind of rock, but we're not doing that today. We're just going to say that any rock that comes from melted rock, comes from magma, is igneous. And if you've heard ignite, that's the same root word hiding in there. Latin roots, Greek roots, whatever they may be. Ignite, think of fire, igneous, fiery rock. Things like that. Rocks that come from cooled lava or magma. Next, we'll talk about Earth's surface. Now, before we all left for this break, we did a whole bunch of work with weathering, erosion, and deposition, beating up on any exposed rock on Earth, turning it into sediment, dragging it down hills and rivers, and eventually landing, and that's kind of where we stopped. So that's where we got to pick up with the next one, because once they start landing, they form these layers. And layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of rock will form, well, I should say sediment will deposit. And eventually, when there's enough pressure down here, it will, it's a fancy word, lithify the rock. It'll turn it into sedimentary rock. Lo and behold, sedimentary rock is made out of sediment. And the third type, I don't really have like appropriate to scale, come on, focus. I don't really have an appropriate scale here. So what I usually do when we do this diagram, which is usually in class, is we say like at depth, that if you go way down deep, you get to a point where there is way more pressure than I'm talking here. You do need some pressure to form sedimentary rocks, some, not much. When you get down here, though, we're talking a pretty serious amount of heat, a pretty serious amount of pressure, and you get metamorphic. A metamorphosis means change. You probably did that in biology if you talked about, or in any class, if you've talked about caterpillars turning to butterflies, or if you watch Gremlins, the cute fuzzy gremlin going to the evil slimy gremlin. It's a metamorphosis, it's a change. So these are rocks that change because of that enormous amount of heat and pressure. And the one but there is that this is a lot of heat and pressure, but not so much heat that it melts. Because if it melts, then we've gone back to this part of the rock cycle. Oh, come on, paper. Melt would get you back into magma, which can then maybe get you to igneous. So we got to have enough heat and pressure to actually physically change the rock, to squish it, to alter the minerals, but not so much that it melts. It's in a narrow little band. All right, so there's a way basic version of what that's going to look like. I'll probably post this, but then also we'll do this more elaborately when we start doing all those little individual rocks for you. And especially for those of you that are saying, dude, I can't memorize all that. What are you talking about? The good news is it's all really right here on this reference table. Questions they ask are really just, can you go forward on these arrows without going backward? If you say, a question asks, what gets you to this? Just look at the arrows that point to it, and you're going to be just fine. We want to make more sense out of it. I'm hoping that by now you guys know about weathering and erosion making sediments, and those get deposited. And then all I added today was that can make sedimentary rock. But for now, forward on arrows, not backwards. I'll probably post a few easy questions, and we'll call that a Monday. And we'll call that my first video on these things. Sorry if it's bad. Welcome to Earth Science. I'll get better at this. Peace.